of Senator Kahl, while in the European Parliament my movie was banned twice, both in Strasbourg and in Brussels. Europe should take America as a model. In Europe, freedom of speech should be extended instead of restricted. And besides the introduction of a European First Amendment, I propose the boycott of the UN Human Rights Council. And not only because the worst violators of human rights, like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, are members of this council, but also because recently this terrifying council indeed adopted a resolution that attempts to kill free speech and the concept of human rights. This resolution on combating defamation of religions does not protect individuals, but shields Islam for criticism. The resolution calls upon UN member states to provide legal protection against defamation of religions and incitement to religious hatred. And of course, you should read it as no criticism is allowed about Islam. It's a next step, unfortunately, to limit the free speech in our society. So let there be no mistake about this. The UN Human Rights Council is a threat to free speech in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, it's a few minutes to 12. In 2009 Europe, Islam is calling for our destruction, and free speech is already on trial. If we go on like this, we are heading for the end of European civilization. Unfortunately, many people think like you and me about freedom and liberty. Millions of people in Europe know that liberty is the most precious gift. Freedom-loving people have not yet forgotten to whom we owe our liberties. These were not offered to us on a silver plate, but were bitterly fought for. American soldiers fought, bled, and died for the freedom of Europe. We owe something to these men and women. Their legacy cannot be squandered and given away. American soldiers did not die for an Islamized Europe. They died for a free Europe. We should always remember that. Ladies and gentlemen, if we want to defend our freedom, if we truly want to withstand the evil forces of Islam, if we want to survive, we need less cowards, less dhimmis in the European and American politics, and more heroes. We need to prevail. We need to prevail, and therefore we have to elect new leaders, brave leaders who will protect our values, our culture, leaders who will defend our freedom, leaders who want to stop the cultural relativism and the mass immigration from Muslim and Islamic countries, leaders who indeed are willing to stand up and defy Islam, leaders who are fighters, like Winston Churchill, like Margaret Thatcher, like Ronald Reagan, instead of appeasers, like Chamberlain and Gordon Brown. We have too many Gordon Browns and Chamberlains in world politics today. Too many politicians who are giving in and giving up and bargaining our freedom away for political or economical benefit. But indeed, let me end up with some good news. The good news is that normal people in Europe, like in my own country, the Netherlands, are increasingly fed up with politicians ignoring our fight for freedom. A growing amount of people want to stop the Islamization of our societies. A growing amount of people want to fight for the freedom of speech and want to preserve the preciousness of our free societies, our rule of law and our democracy, want to give this freedom to their children and their children. And the old political elite in Europe is losing support. New political parties who fight for freedom are gaining strength in many European countries. Like my own party, the Freedom Party. We started as a new party and took part for the first time in the Dutch national elections 2.5 years ago. Then, out of our 10-party system, we have a multi-party system consisting of 10 parties in parliament, we became the 5th party with 9 seats out of the 150-seated lower house in the Netherlands. But in the polls of today, we are the #1 party of Holland with not 9 but 32 parliamentary seats. An enormous increase of support. And many politicians of the old ruling parties in my country almost get a nervous breakdown only by the idea that I might be the next Prime Minister of the Netherlands. So there is panic. There is a big panic in and between the old ruling political parties who thought that they never would be challenged, who thought that they would always be and stay in power. Well, let me tell you, they should be in a panic, because it will only get worse for them, because we will not stop anymore. Not today, not tomorrow. The old times for the old politicians are gone. The public wants something new, and the public will get something new. And we will never stop fighting for freedom. As a matter of fact, the more they threaten us with death threats, with fatwas, or with the legal jihad, the more determined we become to continue. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And my message to all of those who oppose our fight for freedom is as follows. We will never compromise on freedom. We will never compromise on liberty. We will never appease to Islam anymore. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never again be submitted to totalitarianism again. Ladies and gentlemen, we can and we should all make a difference, because every individual has a responsibility to make that difference when our freedom is at stake. And we can make a difference. We have the privilege, all of us, to live in a democracy, and we should never take that for granted. We are responsible to preserve our freedom, and we have to take that responsibility at whatever price it may cost. For losing our freedom is no alternative. Freedom is the most precious gift that we have, and we must give it to generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Thank you.